A-라이브.
Amway is sweeping the nation like a rising tide of opportunity. Who can say how vast its future will be?
They were building something they believed in with everything they had.
The new buildings were going up and there was a lot of activity, the place was buzzing. My grandfather pulled my dad aside and said, "You're making a lot of promises. You just better make sure you keep them."
They were best friends from high school. They're also products of the Great Depression and World War II.
They're very different people, very different personalities.
Well, Jay loved being around Rich because he brought this energy and excitement, and Rich loved being around Jay because he challenged Rich to see things differently.
There was the sort of sense of what's over the next hill.
They were dreaming about conquering the world.
When they got out of the war, they thought at the time that the toy business would be a good business. It turned out to be a flop.
They got into stuff they knew nothing about.
Jay and Rich bought a plane without really even knowing how to fly.
The restaurant business, because they saw that drive-in restaurant in California.
They bought a boat, didn't know how to sail it. Okay, this could be a problem.
It's about putting yourself out there, taking a risk, and seeing what you can do with it.
No plan ever happens the way you expect it to happen.
Sometimes it worked, and most times it doesn't.
They went on an adventure, and people wanted to be part of it.
Probably one of the greatest partnerships in business ever seen in the United States.
I don't think anyone could have imagined what that moment would become. Keep an eye on those two, he told me. They're going places.
They had something about them that could see beyond the current challenges.
They keep on fighting with this winning spirit and keep on pushing forward.
He really wanted to see people reach their potential.
I think they thought, well, let's go ahead and do this.
Now, what could possibly go wrong?
Their story isn't just history, it's a reminder of what's possible.
It's 100 years of trust,
Integrity.
Persistence.
100 years of who they were.
It says 150 planes were in action over England Tuesday. Can you imagine?
Yes, it'd be quite something to see. Terrifying, I'm sure, but quite something.
Do you think America will get involved?
With supplies. Hard to say about troops. It'd probably take something pretty drastic to make us go to war again.
Well, whatever happens, let's do it together.
No doubt about it. Blue ribbon team. Our next turn should be coming up here soon. Another mile or two at the most.
Yeah, let's see. Another right, I believe.
Left. You just turned right 3 miles back.
Yes, a left. And then it looks like only another 15 miles until we get to the Vanderbergs. Miss Vanderberg said she would have a couple cots ready for us whenever we got there.
Oh. That'll feel nice.
I don't know about you, but I'm starving. They might have some dinner for us if we don't get in too late.
Hold on.
There he is! Punch it, Jay!
In 1940, before GPS or interstate highways, Jay and Rich were given their first chance at real adventure. At ages 16 and 14 years old, they were commissioned to deliver 2 pickup trucks from Grand Rapids, Michigan to Bozeman, Montana, a journey over 1,500 miles. Because of the war, trucks were in short supply, and farms out west were desperate for work vehicles. Using a tow bar, they shared driving shifts, slept on hay piled in the truck beds, and got by on pennies and the kindness of others. They zigged and zagged along the Midwest farmland, imagining a future and forming a bond of friendship that would last a lifetime and lead to more than they could ever dream.
Our family had a car dealership, and Dad was fortunate enough to be able to drive a car to school every day. And of course, he turned it into a business by charging classmates for rides to school.
Anybody else, it might just have been that.
Rich paid him 25 cents a week for a ride back and forth to school, and that's how their whole friendship started. They were 2 grades apart. There wasn't an obvious match.
But the two of them, I mean, you're driving. What are you going to do? You don't have a radio on a Model A, so you're going to talk. And you start talking and chatting, and pretty soon you find things you like about each other, and, you know, those conversations continue.
I'm sure that Dad wanted to ride to school, but I think he wanted to be around Jay. And I think Jay wanted Rich to be around him. And I think it was, in some ways, almost a convenient excuse, or maybe it was a way to start that relationship.
Very quickly, they appreciated their different personalities and how each one complemented the other.
I guess you come back to the expression opposites attract. And maybe that applies to a certain degree here because, you know, Dad, of course, is very outgoing.
My dad, of course, was pretty smart, very well read, always had an interesting take on things.
And so that's why they saw, I think, at an early age that, you know, that they worked off each other very well.
Rich was always the people person, and he knew how to draw people in. He was fun, he was encouraging, he was always up to doing something and trying something different. And Dad loved a thrill, and I think Rich was a good source of that. But he brought him out of his shell a bit. He helped him experience the world differently.
I think what drew them together was they were both dreamers, but in very different ways. They had experienced the Depression. They had grown up in difficult times economically, and that certainly impacted their childhood, their families. They saw in each other an ability to dream beyond, and to see that they were not going to be stuck in the challenges of the day, but that they could move forward, that their lives had purpose and meaning, and they just needed to keep figuring out what that was.
They shared the same kind of aspirations. They were kids, they were just like everybody else, but I think they bonded over a desire for more.
Jay's dad was in the car business, and somehow when they were young, he had a truck that had to get delivered to Montana.
I can easily see him lamenting over dinner one night, oh, I've got 2 trucks that if I could just get them out to Montana, I could sell them. And of course, his 16-year-old son said, I can do that. Raised his hand. Rich will come with me.
I kind of have to go back and say, there's no highways, there's no Google Maps, there's no, it's these streets to that street to this town to that town, and you got to kind of find your way, and vehicles in those days break down, and so you got to keep it running. And I remember on their adventure, they had a flat tire somewhere along the way, and the local garage, was going to charge them too much money for it, and so they had to figure out how to fix it themselves. They found some glue, and they found a patch, and they did something to the tube, and they made it work, and so they were going to fill the tire back up with air, and the guy at the garage wanted to charge them for the air. He had to make something out of these two.
You're 16 and 14 years old. I mean, how much fun could this is a riot.
I just continue to think of the innovation. You got to figure it out. It was just them. There's just the two of them. There's no hotels. You're sleeping in the car.
They slept in the beds, they made sandwiches, and
you figure it out. And you got just so much money to make it out there.
It just adds to the adventure.
To think about it today, would still be a heck of a trip. But to think about it at that time, at that stage of life, with their limited experience, really gives you a flavor for the sense of adventure that they had. I can imagine that the two of them, talked about the issues of the day. They're coming out of the Depression, going at, seeing the war clouds of World War II. You share your fears, or you share your concerns, or you share your ideas. And you do that at a level that's pretty deep. I think their conversations had meaning.
I think it was that first trip, too, that changed their friendship a bit, because they were on their own. They were heading west like young pioneers. They're making their own choices and dealing with the consequences.
If you think about it, it was the first time they probably had the opportunity to do something like that on their own, but that set them up for stuff later in life that they didn't even think twice about, because it was human nature for them to do it.
It's hard to sometimes believe, they're just knucklehead kids like the rest of us, right? They grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, small town, just with their families, in their church community, their school community, their neighborhoods, playing games just like the other kids, but somehow they each had something special and connected at a personal level early on in life. The way they thought, the way they looked at the future, the way they were able to dream big together, something made that connection when they were in high school during those years that set them on a very different trajectory.
After high school, both of them, young men, had enlisted into the Army Air Corps. Both of them went through the war. They're discharged. They come out.
When you make it through a world war, and you come back home, you kind of think you can do anything.
What do? I don't know. Let's maybe go on a sailing trip. Do you know how to sail? Not a clue. Do you? Not a clue. Oh, great. Let's go buy a boat. Now, what could possibly go wrong? They had set their mind they wanted to go down and sail through South America. The boat, which was old, decides that it's going to really start to leak, and eventually it does. And we're halfway between Cuba and the United States. And so as they're sinking, they send out their, the Mayday signal and all that kind of stuff, and a freighter happens upon them and stops. Captain of the freighter said to them while they were sitting on the boat, he goes, "What are the two of you doing out in the middle of here?" And Rich's first response was, "Sinking. And maybe you could help us." And so, long story short, obviously they did. He made a phone call back to my grandfather and told him what had happened and where they were. And my grandfather asked the right question. He says, "You okay?" He says, "Yup." He says, "Good. Well, you found your way down there. I'm sure you'll find your way back. Have a good time." And sure enough, they did. They went on an adventure that lasted for months after that. All of these experiences are leading up to a bigger act. And all of them are teaching them lessons in life that they're going to need later on.
They had that spirit, that adventurous spirit about them that I think that they saw that, it'd be hard to do alone, but maybe if somebody else is as crazy as I am, maybe we can do something special together.
They were true adventurers from childhood through the last chapters of their lives. They were always looking at the horizon and always saying yes, from that first trip delivering trucks to Montana to building Amway into something that reaches now over 100 countries around the world.
Business was an adventure. Life was an adventure. I think they saw everything like that. We're going to try it. It's the unknown.
If you're not taking risks, you're not living. You've got to take risks and make your own opportunities. You've got to try new experiences and see what happens. It doesn't matter how old you are or whether you're rich or poor. You have to leap into life and live the adventure.
You guys just have that sense of adventure to give something a try and be able to learn as you go. What impact is that going to have on you that you can then take and transfer to the next adventure? And I think they're always looking away, using those adventures to grow as individuals and as friends.
There are mountains yet to climb, which never have been climbed before. The new frontiers invite brave pioneers to explore. Uncharted seas await some dauntless soul to chart, and space exploring bids the search supreme to start. Oh, what a thrilling age! Thank God for times like these. Never has there been as much to conquer and achieve.
That's, I think, what we can learn from them. Life isn't something to survive, but it's something to explore, to do new things, to go down new paths. Be brave, be bold, and just say yes.